Been grinding all my life, sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life I've been grinding all my life, all my life.
Welcome to Darren and Sterling here on ESPN Kansas City, 94.5 FM, 15 a.m. Darren Smith live from the home studio. And, of course, Sterling is in studio keeping us on the airways. Sterling, what's going on with you this afternoon?
Well, I'm doing all right. Car's back in the shop to get the brake pads fixed today. So another day, another car issue.
So, all that money you spent last week, when I asked you, you said everything was working just fine. So now all of a sudden the brake pads are going down.
This is a preemptive fix over here. I don't get the rotors involved. I'm not getting that. I'm fixing the brake pads. My dad and I normally do it ourselves. He's in Florida. And today's a great day, but I'm not going to wait and do it when it's cold. I'm not busting my cracked up hands up worse, so I'm getting it done.
Well, if I knew you knew how to change brake pads, I could have been having you do my brakes a long time ago. So now that I know for future reference, I'm calling on you. We want to thank everyone who's tuning in and watching us on social media, Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope, as well as, of course, listening to us via the radio on both the AM and FM stations. Still, I want to get right into the news. The biggest news that just took place within the last hour and a half, of course, is the news on golfer Tiger Woods, who was injured in a vehicle rollover in Los Angeles County. According to his agent, Tiger Woods was in a single car accident this morning in California where he suffered multiple leg injuries. He's currently in surgery and is thanking everyone for their privacy and support. So Woods extricated from the vehicle with the jaws of life tools, according to the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department in a statement. And, of course, his vehicle sustained major damage. Now, I'm not sure how his car rolled over or whether he was, whether someone knocked him off the highway, what have you. But
it was bad.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that?
If you see the pictures, it looks like – the pictures, when you look at it, it looks like he went off of a – you know how they have those barriers on the side of the road, and it looks like it went down a hill?
Yeah.
Like nose first. I mean, the car looks bad, and we're obviously thinking of Tiger Woods. It happened this morning around 7:15 a.m. Those roads in California, there's some dips and some dives depending on where you're at. So obviously it's great that he's alive. Hopefully the surgeries go well. Hopefully it's not, life-altering, career-altering, because he's come back from so much. And to have something like this taken away from you so quickly, again, first off, he's lucky to be alive, and that comes first. But then you come down to, can he ever golf again? Is his career going to be okay? Because a lot of big surgeries after what happened to his back, that's never good.
Yeah, and of course, obviously, one of the things that's going to get asked, and, obviously that type of, obviously that early in the morning, but you also look at his history where, he drank and took substance or pills or what have you. It makes you wonder at that time in the morning, did he fall asleep at the wheel? Was he, was it, how did the incident occur? I know, and of course, obviously they're going to have to try to, try to play things back, in the investigation to see how it may, that might have happened. And look, I'm looking at the picture currently. It's, he's definitely lucky to be alive. Now I'm not sure just how far down he might have rolled over or crashed or whatever. But it's, again, our thoughts are with him. We don't want to make any more or make any type of accusations, so to speak, without having further information. But we'll obviously be, looking for further reports that will come out of this. Because I know earlier there was discussion about whether or not he would even play in the Masters. Obviously due to his back, and he was just playing golf yesterday with Dwayne Wade, who posted on Instagram that Tiger Woods was giving him a private lesson and stuff. So again, we wish Tiger Woods nothing but the best and hope that he's able to make a full recovery out of surgery. But Sterling, moving past that, we talked a little bit about the Chiefs and their offensive line. as well as some of the free agents on offense. And I know we talked a lot about the wide receivers. It's been speculated that the Chiefs find themselves about a little over $17 million over the cap space. Now that the cap has kind of been moved down to about 180, 185. But it's been said that if they can convert Patrick Mahomes' $21 million roster bonus into a signing bonus, it'll free up $17.3 million of space. Now, again, we have Mark Collins on Friday. I'm still trying to work my head around the salary cap thing because I'm thinking, it's whether it's $21 million in roster bonus or not, it's still $17.3 million. So I'm trying to figure out how that saves us space, because if that's the case, I'm turning a lot of players who have signing or who has a roster bonus into a signing bonus to continue to free up space. So help me out with this if you don't mind.
So my best guess is it's kind of like kicking the can down the road. Eventually you'll have to pay it. Eventually you'll end up probably in a situation like the Saints, where you end up where there's nothing you can do at that point, where you're so far over the cap that you're in no man's land. I assume that's probably what eventually might happen. But even then, you see teams like the Patriots and the Steelers, they've been doing stuff like this for a long time. The Steelers are known for doing this, and they haven't seemed to run into a ton of issues. They might this year with Ben Roethlisberger, but that's a special situation. That's what I think this is going to end up being like. Again, if they plan for this, which is kind of what it seems like, great job by Brett Veach and company for doing this, because finding yourself $17.3 million in negative, and then just by converting this frees up exactly $17.3 million, shows that there was some planning done. They knew exactly what was going to happen for this to be into play. So give Veach credit that he knew exactly how much to put into this to make it so they at least get back to even.
Yeah, again, and look, I know you said that it's kicking the can down the curb. I don't see how that is, because you're still going to pay that same amount of money out this year. So, whether it's a roster bonus or a signing bonus, that money still that money's still getting paid out. Now, you can say you can put it, make it further down the way, but when Patrick starts getting $40 and $50 million guaranteed, what are you going to do? Convert that to a signing bonus as well? I just don't. Maybe we're going to have to get somebody else on there to explain the salary cap stuff, if that is the case. I know the person who I think C Pete 918 or whatever, 3 Pete. I don't know. And again, I don't know if that's factual or not as it relates to his contract, but. Again, I can't see, because if that's the case, a lot of teams will be doing that instead of just trying to cut players.
Well, to my best of my knowledge, by doing that, you can spread it out over years. You can spread it out longer, similar to how, not to this extent, but an example, Bobby Vanilla. Remember Bobby Vanilla? How he gets paid, what's it, $1 million every year is Bobby Vanilla Day?
Right.
Well, you give him the money up front, and you can spread it out later. So you take the cap hit early, and then you spread out the payments later on, and that's how you can kind of squeeze yourself under that. But eventually you'll have so many guys that you're doing that to, it's going to catch up to you. It's going to squeeze you out later on.
Yeah, well, now baseball contracts and football are two different things, because one, their contracts are guaranteed versus the NFL. I'm just again, it may all be true what you said. It's just hard for me to see that with an NFL contract, you generally have to pay that out while you're in the contract. I know you can cut them and do what have you, but even then, by the time they cut you, all that money that they've already paid that's guaranteed has already been paid, or they pay it, I guess when they cut you to save money against the cap. Again, we'll have to get more information on that. It's just hard for me to see how the Chiefs save that kind of money just by converting Patrick Mahomes' roster bonus into a signing bonus. But I have to get somebody from.
I'll take it.
Well, I mean, we're not. Patrick's not in any danger of being cut anytime soon. So again, that's But even if you're spreading that money out, again, once his extension kicks in, which kicks in after next season, I believe. I mean, you're looking at I mean, you're looking at a lot of money that the Chiefs, you can't keep spreading that out, and you can't keep converting it because you can't convert $500 million or whatever into a signing bonus. But maybe you can. I don't know. Maybe the Chiefs, maybe Brett Veach knows about this funny money business. But that also being the case, Sterling, you look at the offensive line and you talk about the free agents on there. Obviously, I saw the rookie, or guess who'll be a second year, first year player, Lucas Niang. How's it looking for the Chiefs? Because I know obviously you've got Mitchell Schwartz and you got Eric Fisher to be concerned with. And as we talked with Hero yesterday, we don't know what their situation is going to be going into the off season right now, and even what their intentions are for playing next year. Obviously, Fisher's got the ACL, so he may be out most, if not all, of next year as well.
Well, I'll tell you right here. These are the four main guys who will be free agents for Kansas City. Osemele, Austin Ryder, Mike Rimmers, and then Daniel Kilgore. Those four guys who actually got snaps for Kansas City and were a decent part. Obviously, Osemele went down with injury. I actually ran a poll on Twitter, got 317 votes. 71% said if you could only bring one of these four guys back. 71% said Osemele. I was so surprised by that. I said Mike Rimmers because I liked his versatility. I liked having the experience where you know what you're going to get from Mike Rimmers. That's going to be above average to average play. He's not going to be a complete letdown. He's not going to be Cam Irving out there, and he can play both right guard, right tackle, and left tackle. Were you surprised that many people wanted Osemele back?
No, because that's probably who I would have picked as well. And then the fact that you name Rimmers, you cannot try to influence your own polls, Sterling. You can't do that.
I didn't say anything. It's over now.
I know, but the fact that you was like, well, I thought they would go with Rimmers because you thought. I'm like, well, Sterling, it don't work the way it don't work that way when you do it. Hold on, in politics, obviously you want them to go in the direction that you're putting it out there, but no. Yeah, I can see your point. Rimmers, I think Rimmers is probably the biggest name out of all of them. But no, I wouldn't have. I don't have a problem with them picking Osemele to come back, being that one free agent that they lock up. But again, I'm always right now about the call. Man, I swear, I feel like a politician trying to have it both ways because with the salary cap being about 14 $16 million less than what it was last year from 198 in that lower to mid 180, 185. You're like, okay, who's going to take a team friendly deal? But I'm also that person who wants the players to get as much money as possible. So, but they're just up against what it is right now. And then to that point, Sterling, one of the things that the NFL and owners are hoping for, and depending on the location, is whether or not fans will be able to return to stadiums more so at a full capacity. I've read reports where the NFL is looking right now because of where the salary cap is expected to be. They're basing that off a 75% return of fans to the stadiums. Not, obviously, the hope for the NFL by this fall is to get 100% of fans back into the stadiums. Obviously, that's going to be based off the locales and the states and the cities where these teams reside at. I don't know about you, but were you kind of surprised when the mayor, friend Quentin Lucas, last week kind of, said that bars, restaurants can open back up and events can, don't have to submit planning? Because my first thought was like, you knew that the Big 12 was coming here anyway, but like all of a sudden now we can have fans and all this other stuff. I think the Big 12 is talking about having between 3,500 and 4,000 fans in attendance, and that was per my conversation with Lebo this morning. But were you surprised about that? And then what is your thought process as it relates to fans returning back to the NFL, close to 100% capacity this fall?
Yeah, I guess I was a little bit surprised, but they know obviously a lot more about that than I do. They do the research day in and day out. They're out there doing the the costs versus the risks versus how's it going to play out. They know that way well better than I do. So I don't want to get in with Quentin Lucas because I think he's done a fine job as mayor. I think he's a very nice human being. Going into as far as the NFL, I'm not too surprised. I think that they've probably got the research back from this previous season. They probably got the cases back and how many people caught it from going to a football game, and they did the analysis and said, okay, we're good to go forward. We're good to move forward with fans. And most NFL stadiums, to begin with, are outside. I think that's obviously a huge factor. And two, hopefully, a lot of people have either, immunity, a vaccine. Hopefully we're in a better position in 6 months, 7 months. Let's hope. I mean, let's hope.
Obviously, if you're the NFL, you definitely, look, what billionaire owner does not want, money coming through the turnstiles, parking, concession, that type of stuff? That's just more money in their pocket. And look, I would be honest, I'm cynical. I thought that, somebody must have had a talk with the mayor, and obviously you can see what happens in surrounding areas, counties, and cities like that, where people start to open I guess under pressure, they start to open up their businesses and restaurants and just like, hey, it is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be. And the mayor, at the end of the day, is a politician, dollars and cents. If you're seeing money go to the surrounding areas and not to your area because places are closed, then you got to make that, I don't want to say hard judgment, but you got to make that call to where, okay, hey, you can have 100%, but you got to figure out how to social distance within your establishments. You can stay open to 3 o'clock in the morning. Again, if it works, they call this thing all herd immunity. Look, I'm all for it. Look, and we've talked about this. It is a big difference when you have fans at an event versus when you don't. And I still believe, had the Super Bowl been open to have a full stadium, I think you'd get 30 to 40,000 Chiefs fans, opposite of 30,000 or so Buck fans. I think that's a different outcome. I think we're having a different discussion as it relates to going into this new season, because I think the Chiefs are able to defend the Super Bowl if you have a crowd full of Chiefs fans versus what we saw in Tampa Bay this time
Come
around.
on. Come on, that's not a 22-point swing, Darren.
No.
That's not
no.
That's not 22 points.
So you got to see. You're looking at it. You're looking at from what we saw, what we know, what we just experienced. I'm saying
sure.
but I'm saying that if you have that amount of fans going into the ball game versus what we know now, what the end result is, I'm saying that when kickoff comes and you got 70,000 fans versus 25,000, that makes a big difference, because you got, trust me, while I was down there inside that stadium, it was every bit of 20,000 Buck fans versus
Sure.
maybe 5,000 Chiefs fans. It's a big difference, because it's essentially a home game. I'm saying that if you got if you got a packed stadium there and you got both sides and their fans or whatever there, again, I just think that the flow and the atmosphere of the game is called different. I'm just saying the energy is so much more different, because I mean,
sure.
But
Darren, come on.
No.
They were great on the road this year.
No.
The Chiefs were phenomenal on the road this year.
Look,
that's not an excuse.
Not
the
say,
Chiefs just bleeped the
bed.
It
is not to say that they weren't going to get their ass kicked regardless, Sterling. That may still be the case. That may still be. But I'm saying having more fans there because of the energy plays a big. The players themselves say that, Sterling. So I mean, look,
sure.
and we see it. We saw it in the bubble. I mean, you can tell what happens when you don't have fans there. Where players talk about where they're trying to come up with this energy and to play offense, defense, and to come back. And
it's the Super Bowl. If you need fans for energy, then you're in the wrong profession, because it's the damn Super Bowl. This wasn't changing anything. The Chiefs were dominant on the road. They had a bad game. They went up against a good game plan, and they didn't They didn't change. They didn't execute correctly, and that was a problem. Fans or no fans, the Chiefs in this game were getting waxed based on how this played out.
That's because of what we know. But that being said, just got word that according to police sources, Tiger Woods' injuries are not thought to be life-threatening. So that's
good.
So that's good to go. And that's good for us to know. Also, as it relates to the NFL, look, I'm reading a nice article on ESPN regarding DeMaurice Smith. You know, we've had him on the show a couple of times. He's the NFL executive director, but within that piece, it talked about, one of the things that it talked about was the NFL and the 17th game. There are reports now, Sterling, that the NFL is looking to move to 17 regular season games and 3 preseason games. And while it's not yet certain, it is believed that they are going to adjust it for that. And of course, that was talked during the Super Bowl as well, where the NFL commissioner Roger Goodell had not confirmed, that was a direction that they were going to go. But the NFL, they've always wanted to add more games. It was reported in this ESPN document that before Gene Upshaw passed away, that in that 2006 labor agreement, the owners had the opportunity to expand to 18 games. They just didn't. So, you know, now that this is in this particular CBA agreement where they do have the option between this year, next year, and 2023 to expand to 17 regular season games, it looks as though now that's the direction that they're going to go. And especially with the new NFL TV contracts that they're trying to get more than 100% of the money from these TV broadcast partners. It looks as though, at least for ESPN, they're the only that's pretty much pushing back against the NFL, because they would be looking to pay going for $1.9 billion. Yeah,
you cut out there.
Oh, well, basically the NFL, they have a whole lot of money for either 17 games or these TV partners, and I want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I would say that 17 was the next logical conclusion. These NFL owners, they want as many games as possible. It's going to be 17. Next
Fans
thing
wanted to.
the next CBA comes up. Well, yeah, fans wanted to. Next thing you know, it's going to be 18 games. And then all of a sudden it's going to go, well, let's add in 19 so we can have 9 home games, 9 road games, and we'll have a neutral site game. This is how it's going to go, and we know how it's going to play out, because they'll just say, okay, but what if we take away the preseason games that no one really cares about anyways, except for the guys who need it the most, which is rookies and guys who are trying to make the roster. That sucks season games. It's going to be a tough line of, do NFL players want that extra game check? Do they want to get that extra money? Or is that worth the injuries, the potential extra strain on their bodies? It's a very fine line of making the owners and fans happy and not pissing the players off, the people who actually produce the product on the field, making sure that they're taken care of, making sure that they're healthy, and making sure they're not being taken advantage of.
Yeah, that's a very great point. I do believe that the players won because they've already voted on it. So the 17 game, if and when it happens, they just going to have to learn to live with it, because it's what they voted for. There was talk of an 18th game, and of course that would technically not come until the next CBA agreement, which would be 10 years or 9 years from now. But according to Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, it's not impossible to rule out that with the sudden and largely unexpected push, 18 regular season games and 2 preseason games, that the league could come back and make that request to the NFL Players Association as part of a negotiation that will accumulate in setting of the 2021 salary cap. So, I mean, 18 regular season games, 2 preseason. First of all, we don't really care too much for the preseason as it is, and as we've seen. So I could easily see a scenario where at the end of the day, it could happen.
Yeah, the NFL, I don't think the games, as far as statistical or historical significance, matters as much with, for an example, guys like Ryan Fitzpatrick, the way the game's changed already has basically, looking at the numbers, has a better career quarterback-wise without the rings, of course, than like Troy Aikman. Like, we know Troy Aikman's a better quarterback than Ryan Fitzpatrick, but historically, statistically speaking, the game has evolved and changed so much. I don't think adding the extra games will be a huge difference as far as what will it do to the previous numbers. If I'm a player, though, say you're already making $40 million a year, are these extra 2 games to make, say, 45? I don't think it's worth it for some of these guys. Say, for example, you're making $1 million and now you're making 1.4. Maybe those type of guys, the fringe guys, the backup offensive linemen, the wide receivers, special teamers, they may prefer the 18 games because they're getting a decent size increase percentage-wise. It's going to be tough to influence the big-name guys, especially on the defensive side of the ball, I think. It's going to be tough for them to go for 18 games.
Well, I don't know, because look, if you're Chris Jones and you couldn't get them 10 sacks in the games that you played, and they sat you out week 17 and you had 7.5 versus getting 10. Now you got a game or maybe 2 extra games to get those 10 sacks. Because look, one thing that won't change, your bonus or your incentive on getting X amount of sacks or whatever won't change. But if you get an extra game or 2 to get it, then that gives you a better chance of reaching that extra contract incentive. So look, man, I'm for you. I'm all for.
They'll bump that up, Darren. They'll bump that up from 10 to 11. You know how owners and GMs work. You know that they're going to say, okay, now you get extra chances. We're bumping this up to, you got to get 11 now. They're going to protect their bottom line.
Oh, okay. Well, so look, if an owner is going to make an extra $60 million, look, one thing you got to remember, they make a lot of money on concessions and parking and stuff. If you think an owner is going to cry about, a 10-to-1 type thing, I think you're solely giving the owners too much credit. The owners will if they can make $10 million and have to pay out $1 million because a player hits a bonus, I think they'll take. I mean, that's how they stay rich. I think they would be fine with that.
I don't think someone like Hunt would, but maybe, do you think is just going to willingly give up a couple million here and there to help a player out? He ain't helping Dak Prescott out. Well, he's not out here trying to help.
Dak Prescott's totally different. Jerry Jones likes to make. He don't mind spending money. He does not mind spending money at all. And I do want to think, because I know we got to go to break, so in that. Join us tomorrow. Of course, we'll have Todd Lebo on for the hour tomorrow, but we'll also be joined by former Major League Baseball for ESPN and for Major League Baseball, former Kansas City Star staff writer Jeffrey Flanagan will join us on the show tomorrow at 3:30. We'll talk about the Royals Hall of Fame, his Hall of Fame ballot, and who he's looking to possibly vote for, and get his thoughts on the Royals baseball this upcoming season. So let's take a quick time out, and when we come back, we'll talk some NBA. You're listening to Darren and Sterling right here on ESPN Kansas City.
It's Family Leisure's Factory Direct Hot Tub Sale. We have hot tubs coming in every week. No need to wait for months. Come get your dream hot tub today. Family Leisure also has pools in stock for spring installation. Don't go another summer without a pool for your family. Come in and see our huge selection of patio furniture. Family Leisure is your one-stop shop for pool tables, shuffleboard, bar stools, and home theater seating. All priced to go. Mention 810 and save more at Family Leisure in Olathe.
913-888-7727. Awesome. Are you looking for unique sporty clothing and merchandise that makes you stand out from the crowd? Do you love Kansas City sports teams? The Cherry Company designs and creates fashion-forward gear for athletes, avid sports fans, and everything in between. Check out our famous Casey Mahomes denim jacket at cherrysportsgear.com or find it in stores in the Made in KC, Lee Summit, or Plaza location. Sport style, sport local, sport Cherry. Want a 20% off discount? Mention sports in store or use code 810 online. Stay on top and visit cherrysportsgear.com today.
Space Camper Cosmic IPA is a juicy hot blast of flavor. Citrusy and balanced, this is an IPA with a mission to save the Earth because it's the only planet with beer. You might not know it, but Boulevard Brewing Company has been passionate about taking care of our planet for decades. Between their zero-waste brewery to Ripple Glass, Boulevard has been making great beer you can feel great about. Stock up on Space Camper Cosmic IPA today. Boulevard Brewing Company, Kansas City, Missouri.
Have you ever turned down a project because you didn't have the right trucks at the right time? With City Rental Truck as your fleet solution, that will never happen again. They give you the freedom to grow your business without fleet limitations, leaving no project behind. Don't pay 100% of the cost of ownership for a vehicle you use 50% of the time. The flexible rental and lease options allow you to only pay for what you need. Visit cityrentaltruck.com to see the largest selection of work trucks and vans and request an online quote today.
Hi, this is Justin Cole, Private Wealth Manager at Creative Planning. Over the last few years, we've grown to one of the largest nationally recognized wealth management firms in the country. While we are proud of our success, we are most proud of our Kansas City roots. We were founded in Kansas City and remain headquartered here because there's no place we'd rather be. We are Kansas City strong. Thank you, Kansas City, and thank you to our clients. If you're not a client, we invite you to reach out for a free, no obligation financial review. You can find us at creativeplanning.com or by calling 913-338-2727.
In these trying times, Kansas City Credit Union knows how important cash flow is in your household. With rates near all-time lows, now is the time to take action. Free up some cash by lowering your monthly car loan payment when you refinance your auto loan with Kansas City Credit Union. And as a bonus, Kansas City Credit Union will delay your payments for 90 days. Visit kansascitycreditunion.com/810sports for more information. Kansas City Credit Union, your path to financial freedom.
I like big butts and I can't lie. You other brothers can't deny.
Welcome back to Darren and Sterling here on the ESPN Kansas City 94.5 FM, 1510 AM. I really don't know what to say after that, but sorry for any female listeners who might be offended by Sterling's choice of music. It was not my idea.
It's Sir Mix-a-Lot. I didn't say it. I didn't say anything. It's Sir Mix-a-Lot.
You press play.
You can't blame us.
You press play.
I press record. I mean, it's not my fault.
I have no problem with the song itself. I'm just looking out for you because I don't want your girlfriend talking about why was you playing Sir Mix-a-Lot on the air. That's funny.
Better than Charlie Wilson, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know about that one. Sterling, look, man, what's going on with the Los Angeles Lakers? They've been on a nice little losing streak. I've been arguing with folk left and right about whether Anthony Davis is truly the MVP of this team, and I don't think he is. I think he's played soft this year. But the Lakers, they found themselves losing in overtime to the Washington Wizards. Now, that is, something that caught me off guard because the Wizards haven't beaten a lot of teams lately. But they have won, I believe, 5 games in a row now. And, of course, they play tonight again in the Staples Center against the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, I took a break from gambling last night because I was doing some studying and doing some things, but I might have to get back on the clock tonight and see how this game unfolds. And then, looking at some of these other games, which we'll get into. But your thoughts on the play of LeBron James, even though I think he's played well. And we did have this discussion about whether or not him playing the way he is, if he's trying to if he's trying to play the way that he is because he wants that MVP for a 5th time, is it hurting the team's overall chance of winning? Because it seems like he's playing more about him versus the team.
Yeah, and that's what I think it is. You can't lose to the 11-17 Wizards, and there's no excuse for it at home. You can't do it. You can't be losing 40 or past 5 games. And I'm with you. I think LeBron is the MVP of this team, but obviously this just shows the importance of Anthony Davis. But it's not like LeBron has nothing to work with. I mean, Montrezl Harrell give you 26 points. I mean, Kyle Kuzma's playing all right. The problem is you can't go, if you're LeBron James, the stats look great from a first glance. You dive in, you go 2 from 10 from three-point line. That can't happen. Why are you shooting 10 threes to begin with? If you're LeBron James, why aren't you driving? Why aren't you getting to the rim? You can't have 8 turnovers. You have 8 turnovers. Sure, you had 13 assists. That 13 assists, fantastic. 8 turnovers? I mean, that's not a great assist to turnover ratio right there. Again, the numbers look good at first glance. And then when you dive in, the 2 for 10 from 3, the 8 turnovers, that just can't happen. That can't happen at home to a 11-17 win or 11-17 Washington Wizards team. You can't do that.
But you can't take away what they've done. Obviously, the Wizards. Look, Bradley Beal, he's one of the top players, one of the top scorers, if not the top scorer in the league right now. Russell Westbrook, because you got to remember, it's kind of like the Chiefs. When you are the world champion, you are going to get people's best shots against you. Because look, we talked most of last year about Kyle Kuzma stepping up. Kyle Kuzma, in Anthony Davis' absence, stepped up. I think he had 11 rebounds last night or 14 rebounds last night for the Lakers. Yeah, I mean that's something that we've never seen and never heard about coming from Kuzma. So, even in the absence of Anthony Davis, they have had players step up. Montrezl Harrell stepped up as well. Now look, obviously it wasn't enough because obviously look, they fell in overtime, but but LeBron did help get them there to overtime. But I know you're saying, well, they shouldn't have got there to begin with. Shouldn't have to go to overtime. Looking at that though, how much or if at all are the Lakers in trouble without Anthony Davis over these next 3-4 weeks?
Oh, they're obviously in trouble. If you can't beat the Wizards, then yeah, you're not going to be beating these good teams. You're just not. And it's an issue. Again, Kuzma played all right. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope has been playing pretty solid. Again, Dennis Schroeder back will be a huge lift. That way you're not playing, Wesley Matthews 26 minutes. It's just to me, it's head-scratching how people are making so many excuses for LeBron, yet when you say Steph's playing without Klay Thompson, and he's putting up phenomenal numbers. When you have, Damian Lillard playing without C.J. McCollum and Yusuf Nurkic, I mean, they're winning some games. Just me, you can't say LeBron's the MVP when he's losing games without his Robin.
Well, they lost 3 games in a row. They're 6-4 out of their last 10. I mean, the teams to watch out for, which again, the way that they're playing right now, Utah Jazz, they've been pretty good. Donovan Mitchell's been playing well. Obviously, Jokic with the Denver Nuggets, he's been playing well. Of course, we're talking about Dame Lillard a lot. The Clippers, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, they came back and they came back for the game Sunday against the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, they played. It's interesting. They played, I thought, exceptionally well. Kawhi Leonard balled out in the first half, hitting 4 3-point shots, and then he kind of got cold. It looked like the second half of the game. And Paul George, again, we talked about it yesterday. They kind of pulled him out. Now, overall, I'm liking what I'm seeing in the NBA right now. There's going to be some games tonight I'm going to be interested in trying to catch. The Brooklyn Nets, look, they play at home after having 5 games on the road where they won their last 6. Philadelphia 76ers. How do they bounce back after their loss? Yeah, no, I'm thinking about the Eagles, but how do they bounce back? They go down to Florida, I guess, to play the Toronto Raptors. So that's going to be a good game. Number 1 versus number 5. So I mean, there are a lot of good matchups, a lot of good games for tonight. Where I really wasn't paying attention to tonight's schedule, but now that I do, and now that I see. I had to call you for some picks because
the old bank account's opening up, is what you're saying.
Basically,
the side job's coming out.
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm looking. I'm thinking about some of these parlays and some of these games again. Sacramento, Brooklyn, Golden State. Look, now this is the one thing that killed me the other night. I'm not saying financial. I'm just saying in general where your guy Joel Embiid hits for 50 points, and then of course the next game. He can't out of the barn. Now he had like 17 rebounds. I think he had like 28 and 17, but it came off of so
you're
many.
Complaining about
attempts.
28 and 17.
No. I'm saying what happens when they have a good scoring night. They kind of level off, or they have problems where. You have a great shooting night because look, Jamal Murray scored 50 points that same night as well, but then the following game, that they playing, they can't hit the side of a barn. So you just, you got to be mindful of that. I'm just saying that in general, just for not offering betting purposes.
You want to hear the best advice I use for betting is buy low, sell high.
Yeah.
Great runs eventually will come to an end, and terrible stretches eventually will turn around. The one team that's basically put that to rest this season has been the Utah Jazz. Utah Jazz have been phenomenal. I don't understand how they've been this good. Quinn Snyder deserves all the credit in the world. The fact he couldn't do this at Mizzou really grinds my gears.
He didn't have Donovan Mitchell at Mizzou, man. He didn't have Rudy Gobert.
Well,
come on, man.
No, I get it, but
that's a
come
good
on.
one.
I get
hold on, man. Hold on, man.
They're not the most.
That's a good one, right? He could do it.
It's not like they're the most talented team in the NBA.
I mean, yeah.
Come
still,
on.
Man,
You're not telling me right here that the Utah Jazz have even the top 5 most talented roster in the NBA. They don't. I mean, the Utah Jazz do not have the top 5 most talented roster in the NBA, and they're getting it done. Jordan Clarkson has turned into a bona fide, legit six man. He's probably going to win 6 man of the year and maybe most improved player of the year. A dude who grew up with J.R. Smith, Lou Williams, and Swaggy P. Who would have thought that dude would all of a sudden turn into a volume scorer the way he has and become efficient? The Utah Jazz, again, he was also another Mizzou guy. Of course, he didn't do that at Mizzou as well. But no, the Utah Jazz have been the biggest surprise, and they're playing smart. We can talk all we want about how the Lakers will be fine when AD comes back. Yeah, you may have to face the Clippers earlier on than you would like to, and you could get knocked off by the Clippers. The Utah Jazz are playing the long game by being the number 1 seed heading into the playoffs.
Well, look, one of the things that the Jazz want to do is obviously you want to stay ahead of the Clippers and stay ahead of the Lakers. Because what you want to do, you want them to finish, basically 2-3 so they can face each other before you face one of them in the Western Conference Finals. But you got to remember, man, I mean, the Jazz, and not only the Jazz, but the Jazz, they do have a pretty good starting lineup. I mean, you've got and Doak has been out, but you got Rudy Gobert, who literally, look, between Rudy Gobert, Jokic down in Denver, Enes Kanter over in Portland. I mean, you have these centers / power forward, but most of them are centers that have no problem getting 15 to 20 rebounds in a ball game like it's nothing. And of course, if you look on the eastern side, Joel Embiid, if he decides to stay down in the block. So I mean, that's where they have a good chance of beating teams like the Lakers and stuff, because as we talked about, Anthony Davis doesn't like playing down low. Marc Gasol can't stay down low because he's trying to shoot 3-point shots. So nobody wants to do the dirty work, and they have players who are playing their role to perfection.
Yeah, and that's what's going on with Utah. They literally have guys who know their role. They're not going outside of the role. You don't see Rudy Gobert shooting 17-footers. You don't see Rudy Gobert going anywhere outside of the paint. He does his job, and he does it well. They have a very good game plan in Utah, and it's working. They look like, for an example, not to the same extent, obviously, but the Spurs. The Spurs always have guys that know their role. They don't go outside of it. They're team-first players, and that's what we're seeing with this Utah Jazz team.
Man, I'm every bit of 6 games. I know I'm putting money on tonight. I feel real bad about that right now because I had no intentions on gambling tonight. But now looking at
which games?
Well, Sacramento, Brooklyn. I think I'm gonna have to take your advice, like buy a low side, because I'm thinking that I'm just gonna have to go James Harden and Kyrie Irving, go points, assists, Harden with the rebounds, and then with the 3-point shots, I might add in Joe Harris, but do that to where maybe hit the minimums, but then put a little bit more money on the on what I would normally bet on it and see if they hit like that. Because the other night I was doing good. The only thing that killed me was the fact that Harden didn't get double figures when it came to I think it was the assists this time around. So I had him getting double-digit assists and just 10 as it relates to the rebounds. I think he ended up getting like 11 or 14 or something. So he was good. And it's funny because he doesn't really do a whole lot, but he'll just be right underneath the rim and the ball will just bounce right to him. And he goes off and does his thing. Kyrie Irving, I think he ended up having 7 assists in the ball game. But Harris started off slow. That was the thing too, because I had him for 4 3-point shots, and I think he ended up shooting like 3 out of 8 or 3 of 9. And had 30 points when I had him going for 14. So he started off slow and just started picking up at the end of the ball game. So, stuff like that. I might get that third person in, but, Kyrie Irving, look, first of all, and now they at home too, they're going to be balling at home. And I think Kyrie Irving is going to have a greater shooting. I think he's going to score more. I think he's going to outscore James Harden. I think Harden's going to go back to, because he has 7 assists, so he don't want his assists to drop down. So he'll jump back up to 11, 12, 14 assists tonight.
The only defense that will be getting played is probably by Halliburton on Sacramento. Both these two teams go on extreme runs. If you want to watch a game that may look like the best basketball you've ever seen in your entire life, and then in the same game maybe watch the worst basketball you've ever seen in your entire life, this is the game to watch.
It's going to be a lot of
the Kings go on these
too.
runs. Oh, yeah. Ton of three-point shots. De'Aaron Fox will be slashing. It will be a extremely fun game. The Kings may be one of the most fun teams to watch in the NBA, even if they're not good.
Yeah, and obviously another good game that's going to be on TNT tonight. How does Boston bounce back from giving up the 24-point lead that they had Sunday? They travel to Dallas, and then of course the second game, Portland, and we just got to talking about it, Portland against Denver. So that's, these games are good. And then of course Washington and the Clippers. Those are 2 9:00 games. These are good matchups. You just hope that, if you're me, you hope obviously they hit what you want them to hit, but we'll see how it all unfolds.
Yeah, Dallas and Boston are both two teams that have underperformed, I think, what a lot of people expected them to do. Luka's been phenomenal this year. Jason Tatum's obviously been very good. Kemba's been kind of a letdown. Kristaps Porzingis has been a massive letdown.
I thought he's played better.
Been rumors of sure, better, but not the way he was at the end of last year when he finally got healthy. There's been rumors of a Porzingis trade with Golden State floating around. I don't know how there would bring him in, but
for who?
Yeah, this would be a fun game to watch. But exactly, the way Wiggins has played, Wiggins almost has more value than Kristaps Porzingis at this moment, which is weird to say, extremely weird to say. But that's the fact of the matter. Is Wiggins, he might be in Defensive Player of the Year. He's one of the best wing defenders this year, which is very weird to say about Andrew Wiggins.
Look, I'm looking to see how Minnesota, after losing their head coach, how they bounce back against the Milwaukee Bucks. I expect Milwaukee to win. I don't think it's going to be a close game whatsoever, but you do want to see, how do they respond, from having their head coach fired. Golden State travels to Madison Square Garden tonight. They'll play in New York against the Knicks. Steph Curry should be back for tonight's game, according to Steve Kerr. So he should be playing in the game tonight. I like to see how he's going to go up against R.J. Barrett and some of the other younger players. And look, I'm looking forward to see what Bradley Beal does against Paul George and your boy Kawhi Leonard. Of course, what is Russell Westbrook going to look like tonight? And in the Staples Center again. So this is, these are good matchups, and like I said, man, I'm interested to see how it all unfolds.
Yeah, no, it's a great slate of NBA games, but we do have to take a quick break. This is Darren and Sterling right here on ESPN Kansas City.
Hey sports fans, Joni here, and I'm excited to tell you about the newly opened In the Zone Cryo. In the Zone Cryo will help decrease pain and inflammation, accelerate muscle recovery, increase your energy, and boost your immune system. In the Zone Cryo also offers Instasculpt fat reduction, personal training, infrared heat, compression therapy, and more. Mention Sports Radio 810 and receive 10% off your first service. Come see us at College and Metcalf. Call 913-208-4859 or visit inthezonecryo.com. Feel, look, and perform your best with In the Zone Cryo.
At Menards, save big money in your next project with 11% off everything. Get softer skin and cleaner clothes with a Morton Water Softener. Water softeners remove minerals and will eliminate hard water stains and give you better tasting water. The 27,000 grain unit is $319.99 after 11% off. Get 11% off everything at Menards. Good through February 27th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Harry's Razors just came out with their sharpest blades ever. But unlike other razor companies, they're not charging you more. Harry's new sharper blades are still as low as $2 each. You heard me right, just $2. How do they do it? Harry's owns a German factory that's been honing razor blades for 100 years. They source their steel from Sweden and own the entire manufacturing process, from research and development to the factory floor. It allows them to keep the prices lower. How confident are they? A 100% quality guarantee. You'll see it at harrys.com. Blades are even delivered directly to you. No getting unmasked and standing in line. They're delivered straight to your door, with or without a subscription. And right now, Harry's has a great offer for my listeners. New customers get $5 off a Harry's trial set when you use the promo code PETRO, P-E-T-R-O, at harrys.com. That's a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, foaming shave gel, and travel cover, all for just $3, plus free shipping. That's razor, weighted handle, foaming shave gel, and travel cover, all for $3, shipped to you for free. Only at harrys.com, only with promo code PETRO.
All right, fellas, listen up, because Valentine's Day is closer than you think. And right now you can get a jump on Valentine's Day so you don't get in the doghouse with that special someone in your life. The Gifting Dudes have all that you need. Incredible premium head roses, 20% larger than standard roses. And you know, despite what I've been trying to convince people for my entire life, size does matter. These are long-lasting roses, twice as long as the typical roses from florists. The Gifting Dudes are giving our listeners a special deal before prices increase next week. Order before Sunday and take advantage of lower prices plus 15% off your order. Go to thegiftingdudes.com and enter my promo code NATE at checkout to save 15% on premium head roses or giant strawberries. You get to choose the delivery date, but don't procrastinate. Order now. That's thegiftingdudes.com with promo code NATE for 15% off your Valentine's Day.
Who knows if it's going to happen or where he ends up, but would it be nice to play next to J.J. Watt?
It would. It would, man. You know, J.J. Watt has been my favorite player throughout the league for my whole career. You know, he was the Aaron Donald before the Aaron Donald. He was J.J. Watt, you know. So, you know, he's still my favorite player. Will I love to play with him if the opportunity presents itself? Hell yeah. But, you know, you never know how those things go, man. He's a free agent for the first time in his career. He might want to play with his brother, so I don't know. So if he do come, that'll be an all-time 3. So my favorite player, so.
Well, Sterling, of course, those were comments from Chiefs D lineman Chris Jones on the zone, our colleague, Mr. Jason Anderson, earlier today. Looks as though, my guy Jason does tune in and listen to the show, because I think talked about that last week, Sterling, that, you could see J.J. Watt come to Kansas City, wanted to win the Super Bowl, but also it would make Chris Jones play, but it would push him to a higher standard of play if he were to come, as I've mentioned about Von Miller coming, and perhaps that would motivate Frank Clark to play even better than what he did this past season. Your thoughts on his comments?
Yeah, I think everyone wants J.J. Watt to come here. I think every player would love to see him because he brings up a good point. J.J. Watt was Aaron Donald before Aaron Donald. J.J. Watt was a force to be reckoned with. He was on another level defensively compared to almost anyone else. Obviously, he's not what he once was, but when you dive into the deeper numbers, he still has some value left. Obviously, it wasn't going to come at the $17.5 million contract, but he still has value left. If Kansas City could find a way to bring J.J. Watt in, guys like Chris Jones, guys like Frank Clark, maybe not Frank Clark as much, but Chris Jones for sure, they looked up to J.J. Watt because J.J. Watt was that dude when they broke into, when they were in college, when they broke into the NFL. J.J. Watt was that guy that everyone looked up to. If you play next to a Hall of Famer like that, that automatically will elevate your game. You automatically have this insight where you go, I'm not letting this Hall of Famer down. I want him to recognize me. I want to say, hey, look, I can do what he did. So I think Chris Jones had some very good comments right there.
Well, I love to see it happen, but, I'm selfish. I like little things like that. But I want to say something before we get out of here that we had Harold on yesterday, and, of course, we did a webinar last night with students from the KCPS district and young lady Hannah Harris. Now she goes to Grandview. She's a senior, but she's the host of Generation Rap on 103. She hosted us last night, and I got to say, we were supposed to only be on for an hour, but it ended up going an extra half hour, 90 minutes. Some of the best stuff that I've been a part of. Being on there with Lynn Worthy, who covers the Royals for the Kansas City Star, Harold Kunza from Channel 4, and of course Breland Moore from Channel 5. Just being able to answer those students' questions. They asked about life advice and how I get into business, and what are some of the things that have we known then that we didn't know now, and how that will make us better. Breland talked about thinking that, of course, you get in the business, you'll make a lot of money. And of course, her first job, she was making 19,000. Harold thought he had her beat because making 18.5, and I had them both beat when I was working for the Kansas City Call at $8 an hour, which equated to $16,640 a year. So it just interesting, real good talking to the students and being able to answer questions and try to give them some life advice.
Darren loves the kids.
I do.
Darren
really
giving back. They call you Darren Giving Back Smith for a reason.
I don't know if they've ever called me that, but I'll take it.
I don't know, Darren. Guys, come on. I'm throwing you out here. I'm giving you one.
And I appreciate that. I'm just
saying. Take these out, Darren. Take this out and give us the lineup, bro.
Well, look, want to thank everyone for tuning in, listening to us on 94.5 FM at 15:10 a.m. tomorrow. We'll be joined for the hour with 810 Sports Director Todd Lebo. Then, of course, we'll also be joined by Jeffrey Flanagan, Royal and Baseball Hall of Fame voter, who will join us to talk about his ballot tomorrow. Till then, keep your mask, stay safe, social distance. We out.